My name is Liron Mehrez, and I am the coordinator of the Israeli project.
Can you look at me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing
Forget
coming.
about me, I'm not in it.
Yeah.
It's hard to forget.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah.
My name is Liron Mehrez.
Can you spell it for us?
Liron, L-I-R-O-N. Mehrez is M-E-H-R-E-Z. That's in English.
Fine.
In Hebrew, it's Mehrez.
Yeah, I can't do that sound.
Yeah.
It's
And
quite difficult.
I'm the Israeli coordinator. I work with, of course, the Israeli project.
And what's the main focus of the Israeli project?
We work with with all the political spectrum in Israel. We started working with the extremists from both sides of the political map, and slowly we're going towards the center.
So when you say extremists from both sides, are you talking about the Israeli side and the Palestinian side,
No,
or
I'm talking
just
about
Israel?
the Israeli community, the citizens of Israel. We are working only inside the Israeli community in order to get some visions. We're not looking for one vision because it's impossible with Israelis, but we're looking for few visions, and we're looking to find the common ground among those visions in order to know what the real Israelis wish for the future, especially the geopolitical future of Israel. The idea was that since 1993, the Israeli community always announced its desire for peace and solution with the Palestinian community. But what happened was that it was followed by many different opinions, many different way of thinking, lots of questions, and even violence that even led to the assassination of Prime Minister Rabin. What happened was that few people out of Unidir, Gilad and Rana.
What's Unidir?
Unidir is a part of the UN. They found out that what happened till now, all those peace agreements, all those discussions between the Palestinian people and the Israeli people were being handled in the wrong way, because from both sides, the people who sit down in order to discuss peace were not the real Israelis or Palestinians. There were only a small part of these communities. So what we're trying to do is to reach the real people. We're trying to reach people that their voice was not heard before.
And are you finding that people want to talk?
Actually, we do. Actually, one of an amazing sentences that we've heard from a Shas member. Shas is an ultra-Orthodox party in Israel that we work with these days. And when I've called him and I told him, listen, we want you to join us, we want you to have a dialogue process among us, he told me, oh, finally someone figured out that the only two parties that can do peace are Shas and Hamas. So yeah, I think that we are, and when we've reached the settlers of Gush Katif from Gaza Strip, and we told them we want to talk to them and we want to have some kind of dialogue process with them, they've said, oh, suddenly someone wants to hear what we have to say. And what we actually do is that we teach the language of dialogue, which many people did not even know exists.
What is the language of dialogue? What do you mean?
The language of dialogue is another language that you can use when you have a problem. Most people know that when they have a problem, they reach, especially people in the Middle East, when they have a problem, they reach to violence. Even if it's a violence of way of talking, it doesn't have to be a physical violence. And what's happening in our project is that people learn that they can talk to each other, they can say harsh things one to the other, but they can still handle it, and they can still listen to one another, and they can feel empathy, and they can start liking each other, even if they disagree with one another. And then, when they let themselves feel human, and they look at the others as human beings, suddenly they see that they have common ground. Suddenly they figure out that they are having common thoughts, common things, common way of living, and common problems.
You're in a very part of the world that's known for conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Your project, it sounds fantastic, but obviously it's a drop in the ocean. Do you ever think to yourself, the problem's so big, how can we possibly try to solve it on our own?
I think that the most important thing is that we're not here for a short term. We're here for the long run, and we know it will take time. And we actually believe that even if tomorrow morning leaders from both sides of the fence will come, a Palestinian leader and an Israeli leader will come together, and they'll have a peace agreement and everything will be great, we'll still have to be there, we'll still have to work, because the conflicts will never go away. But what we try to do is we try to teach the people to solve those conflicts by talking. We try to teach those people to solve those conflicts by understanding each other. And maybe the conflicts will never be solved, but they'll live in quiet terms of living. And the issue is that probably conflicts will never be solved, but they'll become irrelevant. And what we want them to become is irrelevant. That's the issue.
How did you get into all this?
As I was saying, I was working in the Israeli politics for many years as a spokesperson of politicians and parties in the Israeli parliament. And when I was part of the peace camp, and I felt despair, because I felt that there is nothing else to be done, that we've tried everything, that nothing helps, nothing brings us toward peace. And suddenly, when I've heard about this organization methodology, and when I've been offered to work in this project, it gave me hope. It gave me hope that there is something new to try, that there's something that wasn't considered before, and that we consider it this today, and the work is amazing.
What's so special then about, we're trying to avoid the word methodology, but about the way that this organization works?
The special thing is that for the first time the discussions are not among Palestinians and Israelis. The discussions are inside each community. And what we're doing is that we're discussing the issues of the Israelis. Yes, we're considering the issues of the Palestinian community of citizens in Israel, and we're discussing things of settlers, and we're discussing things of ultra-Orthodox, but we're discussing things inside Israel. We're looking for the Israeli vision. On the other side, the Palestinians are doing the same. They're discussing the issues of Hamas, of Fatah, of everybody, and they're trying to have a Palestinian vision. One day, maybe, we'll be able to put those visions together to one table to discuss them.
If you had to explain to an outsider who didn't know this organization and who was interested in it and maybe thinking, oh, I'd like to support them, what is it that's so important about what you do? If you weren't there, would it matter?
Yeah, I think that what is very important is that our organization is using local forces. We're using local NGOs who are doing the work. We're not the facilitators. We're not coming as international who can teach the local people what to do. We're just empowering them in order to work with their own community. And those people who knows their people, coming and talking to the people, teaching them another way of discussing conflict. And we are building ownership of the project. We are helping the local forces have ownership of their project.
Just one last question. Why is it important for the rest of the world that there's the work you're doing and that there is a sort of peace in Israeli society? Why should it matter to someone sitting in New York or London or anywhere else in the world that there should be peace in Israeli society?
I think that the Middle East conflict affects all the world. I cannot figure out why, but it does. And I think that if this conflict will be solved, I think that it will affect the rest of the world, because first of all it will be an example for other conflicts, and I think it will be a very and I mean a real solution for the conflict. I'm not speaking about a peace agreement that will make a quiet peace like Israel is having with Egypt, for example, which is quiet peace. It's not a real peace. When we're talking about real peace, when we're talking about a different and new Middle East, we're talking about a place where people do live together, economically, physically, socially, and mentally.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Very good. Well done.